And what's going on with people plugging the meters for other people? Have you heard about that?
Yes, I've seen it's back. It was going on a while ago. Robin Hood. They call themselves the Robin Hoods. And what they do is if they see an expired meter, they'll plug it. And according to the videos they've posted, either with nickels or quarters. Now, a nickel only gets you 6 minutes. So
right. And
you still might get a ticket if you're depending on Robin Hood, if they're only putting nickels.
And a quarter gets you a half hour? Or?
I think, yeah. And a dime, 12 minutes.
Yeah. And so what is the purpose of this?
Well, I'm not a spokesperson for the Robin Hood folks, but from what I understand, they, again, believe it's unfair to charge people to park or to give them tickets or to limit their access.
But they want to make sure that the city still gets the money that they make from the parking meters?
Well, they don't want people to get... No, I think it's a good question. I think they don't want people to get parking tickets. They have to pay parking tickets. They don't want to be... So they're plugging the meters to keep people from getting parking tickets.
I see.
So maybe there's some method there because a nickel, if it saves someone from getting a ticket's $5. So
right.
The city... I don't know what the rationale is. But I think it's to make the point that, there's... not big fan of parking tickets.
Do the people know that they're doing this? I mean, do the people
actually, from what I understand, yes. Well, they leave cards on the windshields, and I actually saw one video. I went online. It's the Free Keenes, and watched a few of them. And actually, people came up to them and thanked them for doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
So I suppose they. If you, yeah. I mean, I'm probably one of those people that if I plug my meter and then
it's not illegal to plug a meter that way, though there is a 2-hour limit. And I don't know how well that's enforced, Yeah.
357-1290. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's snowing outside.
It is.
All the meters I don't know if the meter maids are very active in this kind of weather.
Wait a minute. If we're going to get along, you're not going to say meter maids. You're going to say parking enforcement officers.
Yeah.
They're parking enforcement officers.
Okay, I'm forced to be politically correct.
Well, there's actually a male parking enforcement officer as well.
Right.
And,
but I'm requesting that you call them parking enforcement officers.
Okay. So, all right. So we're off to a good start. I was going to say... The meters are covered. I don't think I even referred to, though maybe I did say meter maids.
Yes,
I have no problem. I just won't say it to you. I don't think it's like that horrible. But they're probably not that active right now, I guess. With all this snow, it's probably pretty troublesome to get around. But isn't it true? Didn't I hear you, Jim Duffy, say that you were interested in raising the parking meter fines to $10 at one point?
I am very interested. Yes, and I have no problem saying it again. I think $5 is a gift. It's you go anywhere else, and a parking ticket's $20. 5, 30, 40. If you go into other more congested metropolitan areas, you get $40 for parking ticket.
And that's right.
Well, I don't think. Well, again,
you should follow that example.
Well, I didn't say that, but I think $10 is. Well, I brought it up a number of years ago, and it didn't gain much traction on council. So
probably because a lot of councilors get parking tickets.
Well, I don't know, but. The rationale is not just to collect more revenue, but it's to promote turnover, I think. I don't think a $5 ticket is the price of plugging your meter all day and keeping someone else away from having access to that space if they need it. And I don't think that's fair. And if a $10 ticket would encourage people not to use a space all day long or to just keep plugging their meter, then it's fine. Also, I think the parking, we raised it a bit. It used to be 25 cents an hour. Right now, it's 50 cents an hour. Or was it?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I think that's very reasonable compared to other cities I've seen in New Hampshire. So, that's my opinion, but I don't predict that happening anytime soon. Just my opinion.
So I don't know. I would be happy if somebody put a little bit of money in the meter to save me from a ticket, and I'm sure plenty of people who have received that gift are glad.
I'm sure.
Well,
I'm positive
I agree.
They would be,
I've actually seen it in real time and on the on the videos.
I would think that it's
and there have
going
been actually, I got a parking ticket 2 Fridays ago, and it was 4 minutes. I was 4 minutes late. Oh well.
I think that don't the parking enforcement officers mark the tires? They have that option of marking tires.
Yeah, I don't. I see. I just want to see. I've seen it, and then I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not clear on how often it's done.
I'm not really sure. I was just going to say I don't even know what that's about, but
there's a 2-hour limit caller on a particular meter, and again, you can keep plugging your meters in 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, the whole day. I think that's primarily it was put in there for people who work in the downtown, who come to work before the meters are all full, park and get a meter, and then they run out every 2 hours and plug the meter. Yeah.
And
so it's just as a notification to themselves that this person's been here for a period of time.
Yeah, and you get a ticket because there's a 2-hour limit on each meter. And
except for down at by the diner, I believe you can stay longer there.
Oh, those are that's just it. Those lots, and they're not always full. Behind on the other side of Gilboa Ave, the commercial street lot. That's never more than half full during the work week.
Right. And
never.
People don't like to work, I guess.
You can get I think 10 hours out of those meters.
And you can sit there for how long? For a long time.
Right.
Well, they're long. A quarter will get you an hour and a half,
right.
I think, instead of a half hour.
But my point is, you don't have to sit for. I mean, you don't have to leave after 2 hours for that. That's for people who have jobs and they can go in and work for 8 hours.
That's what it's intended for.
Thank you. Well,
thanks a lot.
Okay.
You're welcome. And go out and dust off the meters so the parking enforcement officers can read them and write tickets.
357-1290. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Oh, good morning. I wasn't going to call, but you guys brought it up about the people downtown who are feeding the meters. And they're making it out as if they're being these wonderful people. But in fact, their treatment of our municipal workers is horrible.
I agree.
They are following people with cameras. They are harassing them. They are going, what's your name, what's your name, what's your name? If you don't give me your name, I'm going to file a report on you. This isn't about being good to the public. This is about harassing people that work for the city of Keene. And I've seen it. I've watched it. I'm downtown all the time. I most always find a parking spot. Once in a while I have to circle. That's another issue.
Right.
And as I say, they feel that they're doing us some wonderful good. And now if they're going to start
you should be walking downtown from where you live.
Yeah, I can walk. That's true. Who would? But yeah, I could. But my point is, and then I'll ask them what they're doing, or I'll ask them not to feed my meter, and why are you getting so personal about this? Well, they're out to make some political point, but the people that they're harassing are citizens of Keene, just like yourself, Cynthia. These are the same people that have harassed you. And their treatment of our citizens, while they're trying to make their political points, are just deplorable. These are friends. These are people we work with. The people that feed the meters are people that are just doing their job. They don't ask for this harassment. They're not being mean to anybody. They're earning a living, and we're paying them to earn that living.
Right.
As somebody who was involved in a downtown store 25 years ago, going back 17 years before that, it is exactly the same problem with people parking in front of their stores. It's the same thing.
Right. And it's always been. And at one point when I first came on the council, this was a long time ago, when I first came on the council, I tried to go with everybody to find out what their jobs were. And one of the times I spent with parking enforcement people, walking around all day. And even back then, it was very hard.
A lot of hostility, I would imagine.
And there was
drawn towards-
hostility.
yeah.
I mean, they put a parking ticket on somebody's car, and the guy came up and there were 2 cars down, and he came back. I mean, they didn't know whether that meter had been, empty, used for like 5 minutes, or if it had been used or had been unfilled for 5 minutes, or if it had been unfilled for an hour and a half. They had no way of knowing. So, but.
So I just want to bring that up, that they are not the nice people they are putting themselves out there to be. And neither one of them is from this area, nor have they lived here very long. So I personally did not ask them to save me from the tyranny of parking meter fees.
Okay, well, I figured there were people on both sides of this issue, but I guess it's what they put on their videos is people coming up and thanking them. So maybe the people who don't want them to do that, they have no interest in showing that side of the story.
I see.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. 357-1290. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A few years ago, I saw a story, I don't know if it was on TV or in the newspaper, that it was illegal to help someone out who was about to get a parking ticket.
It's not. When I first heard of this, I actually called the police chief, and he said, no, it is not illegal.
It's not illegal what?
It's not illegal to plug a meter that's run out.
No.
This may have been like a national.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that may have been. It may be in some towns or cities.
It's a violation, but again, it's the enforcement issue. If the meter expires, but it'd be interesting if the money was in the meter, but the tire had been marked and a ticket was put on anyways because they know it had been replugged.
Right.
That would be something I'm sure the ticket holder could dispute in in district court or whatever.
If the tire was marked and.
Well, I would imagine if, there's a policy, you're supposed to get ticketed if you stay at a meter downtown for more than 2 hours. If the tire was marked and it was marked at a certain time, but then you come back and the meter shows there's plenty of time left, it's been replugged, I would think it's okay to ticket that car.
Right.
But then you'd have an interesting discussion or debate, and I think it'd have to be, if it was brought to court, if they refused to pay the ticket, they'd have to challenge it in some way, the person. So that would make for an interesting case, possibly. But it's not illegal to plug the meters.
No. To go by if you have, if you see somebody. I've occasionally done that with, if I've seen a friend's car that's expired, if I put in a car.
Everybody does it. And again, people like when we had the parking kiosk issue that was a disaster in many ways, mostly because of the technology. Because what's it? I think I lost.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. The one behind City Hall works fine. It's very simple. The other ones are very complicated. But people said, well, we don't like this because we leave meters, we leave before it expires, and people who see time in the meter like to come in, and it creates, that's another positive thing about not staying more than 2 hours.
357-1290. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say, hey, it's a beautiful day in Keene. And
I agree.
I am all for the Robin Hooding. I think it's wonderful. I've watched some of the young people on YouTube, and they are way, way smarter than we are, and I think we need to start taking some lessons from these people.
Really?
So that's my 2 cents, and I hope that us people who know everything can grow up and get reasonable and get some morals and listen to these guys and take their example.
Thank you.
Well, that's
Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
I don't know if that was a veiled criticism, maybe, but who knows?
Was he being real? Was he being sarcastic? I wasn't sure. But
I
anyway,
don't know.
It works. But I don't know.
It's,
at least we found out. I kept wondering, what was their purpose in doing this?
Yeah, that's and again, I'm just saying as I understand. I may be incorrect in my opinion.
You're right.
It may be different than the folks who are doing it, but from looking at they don't believe in parking tickets or literally paying for parking.
Right.
It's their right.
But I one time this was a couple of months ago, I saw a parking enforcement officer being I always have to be careful. Talk to. I want to say accosted, but talked to by someone who said that his car had been towed, and it was the parking enforcement officers. Now this driver couldn't get to work because his car had been towed. Well, his car hadn't been registered. It was an unregistered car, and after they were done, he said to me, I was just standing there listening, and he made some remarks to me about, I can't get to work because my car has been towed or impounded, and do you think that's right? And I said, well, I think it's right if it wasn't registered, which is what the parking enforcement officer was saying. And he kind of shook his head and walked away and said, "Oh, you're such a good government doobie," or something. And I thought, well, okay.
Nobody likes to get a ticket,
and nor to have their car impounded for them.
But again, it does highlight, folks, parking enforcement officers, they have to deal with an irate public. It's like, part of my job is sometimes I have to serve people subpoenas, and most of the time, and they're okay, but a lot of times they're
they
livid,
get very angry. Yeah,
livid,
I'm sure.
And I'm just doing my job, but
don't shoot the messenger.
You get shot.
Right. Yeah.
Not literally, but you do receive a bunch of negative energy.
Well, that's it.